Hello, welcome to Mortality and Me. This is the one with Sonya, Kimpton, Ville. So let's not waste any time. Let's meet the lovely lady herself. Hi, Sonya. Good morning. I've learned stuff about you in the grown-up world. You after 20 years working from startup to corporate, you now have a startup in your own right, and you're the founder of Grapevine. Sonya is on a steep founder learning curve. Oh, learning curves, we like them. And you're not really frightened of getting out of your own comfort zone, are you? You also help other businesses navigate the journey of business transformation. That sounds very, very grown up. So tell me a bit about the grown up side of you first.
Okay, so my history is in managing operations and developing businesses and helping businesses transform. So quite often businesses know where they are now and where they want to be, but they don't know how to get there. They struggle with the how. So I help them make that as easy as possible and have an executable plan. But for the last 18 months, I've been working on my own startup, Grapevine, which is to help people and businesses connect more intelligently so that you can maximize opportunity. We all go out, network, connect, but we don't always make the most of those opportunities that we create. So Grapevine helps people to do that.
So, well, congratulations on starting up. And now we're in lockdown. It must be quite interesting for you finding diverse ways of conducting your business, and also taking time out to spend with me this morning.
I know, such a delight on a Monday morning. It is quite a challenge because you're looking at investment and that type of thing. Of course, the whole world has gone on pause. So I think this is when your true grit and resilience really comes through, and you have to dig deep. And it makes you reevaluate what you're doing and say, right, okay, is this truly what I want to do? Is it the right thing? And for me, so far, it's been a definite yes. So it's that persistence.
You've been asking yourself the right questions.
Yes.
And talking of questions, I've got a little one here. I mean, Mortality and Me, we are opening the conversation here about everything to do with death, dying, in between, before that and after that. So today we're having a general chat, but we've got a little bit of a theme coming through that will become apparent later. But just to get a feel on where you stand, I mean, why do you think it is so scary? What's so scary about talking about death?
I think, and I speak for myself, I think it's perhaps that fear of the unknown. But if I really dig deep in me, I think as someone who's very logical, very practical, very in control, organised, it's something I can't control. It's something I can't say, right, this is how it's going to happen, this is when it's going to happen, and put that structure in place. So I think it's so out of my control that's when you start, I personally get a bit like, oh, right, okay. And I have what's called a moment, and I'll say to my husband, it's fine, I'm just having a moment. And now he kind of knows just to let me just get over it and move on. So yeah, I think it's that fear of the unknown and potentially that fear of not being in control.
And where do you think that might stem from?
I believe that it stems from being the master of my own destiny. I like to do that, and I'm very independent and don't like to be dependent on other people. And I make the decisions and choices and create the choices that I have in my life. This is something that I can't do that about. So I think that's where it strives from, is where I don't like to be at the mercy of other people and what have you. So this means that I am at the mercy of something else that I can't do anything about.
Do you remember your first experience with death, with an animal or person?
I do. I do in a vaguish way. When I was 4, I had a sister that died of cot death.
Okay.
And we shared the same room. And I was a bit of a brat, actually, if I'm honest. I was a bit spoiled and I was a bit of a brat, and I was quite mean, not to her, not physically, but I was quite mean and said things to my mum when I was little that was a bit spiteful. And then the day that it happened, I happened to be staying at my nan and granddad's, and I do remember there being a phone call and my granddad going off. But honestly, that's about as much as I can remember. But that was my first real exposure to it. at 4 years old. But I know, sort of reflecting back, I think I'm glad I wasn't there. And I know that's being a bit personal, but I'm glad I wasn't there because of the spiteful things I'd said, and and how might that have been perceived.
Yeah.
But I also, that as I've got older, I've reflected as well on that, because when you're a kid, like my mum, that was her, her baby, and obviously on the birthday of my sister and stuff, my mum would be upset and what have you, and it was very difficult to empathise with that in some way, because she was only 4 months old. It wasn't until I had my own children, they got to 4 months old, and I thought, oh my God, now I can truly understand how she must feel, because you have built that bond and that relationship. So that was my first one. But then moving on from that, my dad tragically died when I was 12 in a car accident. But obviously that I've got a lot more memories around that. And it was quite a big family impact, because 2 of our family members died, 1 survived. So that was quite a significant impact on the family. So that was really my more aware exposure to death.
Do you have any beliefs about or thoughts or conceptions of life after death? It's a fascinating area, because some people say there's symbols. I mean, I'm wearing my feather earrings today. It would have been my mum's birthday, and it's my first of firsts without my mum. So I'm being naughty and going to get into trouble like I would if she was still here. But there are certain symbols and things that maybe give us a sign or anything like that triggers with you.
Oh, lots. Yeah, lots. And I could probably ramble and fill through 3 hours of it. But yeah, absolutely. And it was, that belief stems back right through my dad's family, at least to my nan, and even life after death and reincarnation, but sort of both. So, that my dad, when he was a child, they lived in London. My nan had 5 children. They didn't have lots of money. And my dad went on a school trip to a big posh house. And when they got back, the teacher said to my nan, oh, Michael's been there before. And my nan said, no, he hasn't. We haven't got the money and stuff to go to historic buildings and stuff. And they said, well, Michael knew where there was a door that led to the servants' quarters. And she said, and it's been boarded up now. There's no door now there, but Michael knew there was one there. And I was like, well, I can tell you, he's not been there before. So I do believe in that. I mean, I remember as a child, probably about 6 or 7, and maybe all children have this thought of, why was I put into this body? Why am I in this one? Why have I been put into this body? What's going on? And you kind of, and I like to just try and understand things and be open to stuff. And I think, you wonder if that was there something there, that it was something from previous coming through. And then again, all my family come from London, and I was the first one born in Kent. And I went to a primary school. And then when I was about 13, I remember saying to my mum and stuff, where's the big house that's gone? There used to be a massive house next to my primary school, or my infant school. And I can even now visualise it. It had big double windows, top and bottom, and big steps up to double doors. And it used to be there. And my mum said, no, I have no idea. So I asked my aunts and my nans and that. And of course, they'd all moved from London. So there was no history in Kent to say, oh, yeah. And this just sort of stayed with me for a long, long time. And then when I was about 18, my friend and I kept sort of talking to him about it. And he said, come on, let's go find out. Ironically, he's also passed over as well now. But he said, come on, let's go find out. We went to the Ashford Library and got out the maps and everything of 1902. And next to the infant school where I was at, there was, because I'd always said, it's next to the infant school, but it was something to do with children, and it was something to do with younger children, not children of infant school age. And when we got this big map out, there was a place called Millbank Nursery right next door to it. And you can almost see now where there used to be a building. I think the infant school might have even gone now as well, because it was a really old building. But there used to be Millbank Nursery right on the end of it. And it's very bizarre. And you think, maybe, oh my God, I've come back to Ashford. What's that all about?
It's in Ashford for me.
Yeah. what is the importance? So I do definitely believe in life after death, and I do believe in symbols, and I think it's a very individual thing. You know, it's not the same for everyone. And again, I think it comes down to that openness. I believe that, and I not look for symbols, but I think if you're open to things, they will make themselves known. So I was told that, you know, feathers, if you see white feathers, there we are, it's a sign of a guardian angel. And I've actually got into the habit, I walk my dog every morning and I see a white feather floating away and I go, thank you. So yes. I'm now thanking feathers when I see them.
I don't think that's bizarre. I think that's quite natural when you have that belief. I think I do the same thing at the park. And the other day I was driving and I had the roof down and a feather, the traffic lights just came and landed on the car, and I just went thank you, because the number plate attached to the car, and the car itself was a gift just before my father passed away, and it just made me go no. And I like that kind of symbolism that makes you remember a person in a lovely way. So like yesterday, a memory popped up, and I thought, rather than got sad about it, I remembered the day, and then started to remember how much we laughed, and how much I used to get into trouble, and all sorts of things. And I ended up having quite a nice memory replay back in my head. But back onto like the being here before, perhaps. What do you think about old souls and new souls? Have you ever had that kind of thought process? It's like some people you look at and you think, or you meet, you go, you've been here before.
Yeah, there's a wisdom about you. No one that immediately springs to mind. But if this is really random and sort of a bit off, but my dad's birthday was the 1st of April, so he was born on April Fool's Day, and my previous dog, my German Shepherd that I loved, his mum was born on the day my dad died, and my dog was born on the day my dad was born. So I'm like, perhaps my dad's coming back in through the dog, and you start to wonder.
Isn't that lovely to maybe find comfort in that thought in itself? I don't think there's anything wrong with that, finding comfort. I had a conversation with someone the other day, and it was about new and old souls. And she's definitely an older soul, and you can tell by the conversations you're having. And then I made a comment that politicians are new souls because they haven't got a clue. And I never enter into politics, but it just came out, and it's got me thinking even more about how some people you just connect with, and and it's like you meet a friend sometimes and you just trust them implicitly, immediately. Might be the right decision, but there's just a wonderful connection between people, which is lovely. But I'm going to be a bit nosy now. I'm going to find out a bit more about you, because the Sonya Kimpton DeVille, the grown-up business lady. Let's find out what one song, piece of music or song, would sum up your life.
See, I'm really greedy. I don't know if there's one, and I know I'm a massive fan of music of all genres, and it's even from little we've always had music on in our family, and there are so many songs. But I think if you were to ask other people about a song about me, it would be things that I'm remembered for.
Right, that could be interesting.
Yeah, it's dangerous. So Radar Love, for example, by Golden Earring is one that I'm renowned for dancing to, and I do the whole song, and it's like a CV workout. And it was, the song comes on and we're in the pub and everyone's looking for me. Where is she? or an AC/DC song, anything like that. But I have got songs that the one which is quite a new song, but I love it, and it literally makes my hair stand up on end on my arms, is This Is Me, and I love it. Even just saying it just makes me go, because it comes on, I'm like, oh my god, this is, and you have to sing it as loud as you can. So I know it's quite a newish song, really, but right now I think that sums me up. This is me, warts and all, scars, whatever it is. This is me, take it or leave it.
Yeah, I kind of can relate to that a little bit. Yes, yeah, absolutely. On your songs, I was thinking because I practice as a funeral celebrant, and I quite often have to ask people what music they would like their loved one to come in the middle and go out to. And it's quite difficult because sometimes they don't know what music their loved one was actually into. And it's quite fascinating when you start to get an insight of how perhaps little we know about some of the grandparents, etc., and what they're really into. But I was thinking about it as well, that I had a conversation, there's a good death and a bad death. And first time I heard those two phrases together, I was really like, what? And then it got me thinking, so just from your opinion, what would you understand as being a good death?
I think a good death is where you celebrate, you know that they've lived a life, you know. Typically I would see that as an older person who has had a good life. They've come to a natural end, if you like, you know, not horrendously painful. I mean, a lot of deaths are uncomfortable, but not horrendously painful, and it was the right time. You know, if I think of my grandparents as I was going to say mortifying as it is, but as devastating as it is, we are a family who like a party. And actually their wakes was a really good celebration, and, you know, having a party or getting together and having a really good time, having the music on and laughing and telling each other memories. So that I see as someone who's is a good death, you know. If you, I think that, yeah, but I think that if you're going to ask me about a bad death, you know, then I've obviously got a different opinion. But I think being able to celebrate, you're comfortable celebrating their life.
That's lovely. Have you, what are your thoughts on actually being near or visiting or seeing a person who's actually passed away, a dead body?
That's a massive struggle for me. I didn't see my dad. I was only 12, and obviously the circumstances that he died in. And I've tried to. I had a very close friend of mine who died in an accident when we was both 37, and I'd had the coffee with her on the Thursday, and on the Friday morning got a phone call to say that she'd been found at the bottom of the stairs. And that that's just made me go off the question. And I went to see her. I tried to go see her. My husband and I went to see her in the Chapel of Rest. And although it's strange, because although I believe in life after death and all the symbols and everything else, I sort of stood at the door to poke my head around. And as I poked my head around, I caught a glimpse of her arm and just freaked and run. I had to run out, and I just could not deal with it. And then my granddad passed away in hospital, and I stood. This was like midnight in the hospital, and all my family are everyone there, and they said, "Do you want to see him?" I was like, "I'll try." And I sort of stood beside the curtain and I sort of poked my head around, sort of glimpse of the body, and just freaked and run. And but then when my nan died, she was at a care home, and I was there with my mum and my sisters. And again, you know, she'd passed away and she was still laying in bed, and they said, "Do you want to come in?" And I said, "Right, okay, I will try." And I did it sort of really slowly. And I did actually manage to go in the room, and I did stand with her. I couldn't touch her, and then we were sorting out her clothes, and literally she'd been passed away about a few minutes, and was looking at what clothes that she might want. What do we dress her in for the funeral directors to collect her? And that was the first time I was able to. But it makes me, that I struggle with that personally. Yeah.
Not surprising, really. I mean, it is one of those things. And unfortunately, we're living in the COVID-19 era at the moment. And so there are no visits to the Chapel of Rest. There's none of that going on. And also people are unable to attend funerals in their masses. You know, it's very limited that we are in very challenging times. But I think what has come out of this time as well is that there is comfort in the way people are being able to share stuff like this, being able to talk. I mean, this is only the second recording of Mortality and Me, the live stream. And already you've had a few emails in from people who want to share experiences and how things have changed. My background today is a glitter ball. That is because I've delivered an online service, a ceremony celebrating someone's life who was very into music, very disco-oriented sort of thing. So I presented in front of the glitter ball. And I think we still have to find ways to respect the dead and the dying, and start to have these conversations. It is very strange times, but I think as a community, we're all doing that. You know, we're actually all coming together, and I'm engaging with a lot of people in that. So just to close up, what advice would you give to someone who is suffering a loss, and it might be more difficult for them at the moment because they are unable to attend, but how would you point someone in the direction of being able to grieve?
I think you have to give yourself permission to grieve. Know that it's a very, very individual thing. So what's worked for me won't necessarily work for you. And kind of go with the flow. I mean, I'm quite a practical person, so I think perhaps I withdraw slightly and become very practical. You know, what do we need to get done? How do is everything being organised that needs to be organised or whatever else? But I then perhaps grieve not so openly in front of people, quite private like that. But if you're someone that just wants to be quiet and just hide away for a bit, then give yourself permission to do so. I think one of the big pieces of advice is that to talk about them when you feel comfortable, is to talk about those people and still have them as part of your life. They might be gone, but their memory isn't. You still got. My children have never met my dad, and my nieces and nephews never met my dad, but they talk about him as though they knew him. He's still a big part of our family conversations and what Grandad Mick would do and would like, and so my children will bring him up in conversations if they knew him. So when it's right for you, when you're comfortable, don't put them in a box and put them away. Still have them as part of your life and present in that way, but give yourself permission to grieve. Talk to them. I talk to when I'm working. There's a photo of my dad and my nan and my granddad amongst other people, and I'll sometimes say, "Oh, look at them! Come on, give me a sign. Do something just to let me know you're around, or whatever, or I'll say, "Oh, thank you," or whatever else. But just have them there as that memory. But I think also you never accept. I think that you never get over it. That's the thing, is you never get over it, but you learn to get on with it. And it's you'll never ever, because I think getting over it's the wrong expression. You'll never get over losing someone, but you have to get on with it and move on, because you can't change it, and be grateful that you knew them as part of your life.
How lovely though to keep those memories alive, and the great thing about memories is that they can never be taken away from you. They're yours to pull on whenever you need, and very resourceful. Sonya, it has been fantastic and lovely talking to you about a subject that a lot of people are afraid to talk about, and I think you're one of these people that's now proving that it is great to talk about something, and even especially as you're saying at the end, in grief, is to allow yourself to talk. And I think talking, especially in circumstances that put stress on our lives in any situation, is a wonderful thing to do. So I thank you for your time today, and I look forward to catching up with you very soon.
Thank you.
Take care.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.